Hi class, this is an overview of the Quarter 2 performance assessment. Just in case you missed something or you weren't here for one day, you can always refer back to this video to remind yourself of how to do certain things. So the assignment is this one called Research for QPA 2 Elements and Periodic Table. On your account, you need to click this assignment name and all the docs will show up. One thing you should note is that there's this one called QPA Tips and Tricks. If you click that one, it'll open up a Google Doc that will give you tips and tricks of, for example, acceptable websites should you Google, keyboard shortcuts, Google Doc tips, so like how to write superscripts for electron configuration, how to have this outline like I have on the left side here so you don't have to scroll as much, and how to do hanging indents when you end up writing your essay and you need to do the works cited page. So that's just something helpful for you to refer back to in case you need it. The first thing that we did in class was the periodic trends paragraph. So this is paragraph 3. This is pretty much the same thing as the periodic trends CER practice worksheet that we did a few classes ago. For each question, you're just answering what's the largest periodic trend and explain why using CER. One key thing is your explanation should include force of attraction in each one. Once you have all your answers, you're going to combine them and add it into one giant paragraph. If you want to advance your score, you can make it less repetitive. So a lot of your explanation is going to be the same for each question. So you can take out some parts that just repeat themselves and make it flow better. So that's paragraph 3. Then if you go back, go to the second Google Doc called Element Research Organizers. How I organized the graphic organizers is instead of having one for each paragraph, I have one for each element. So for each element, you're just going to do all the research and find all the information you need all at once. So for element 1, let's say my example element is helium. So then you can talk about how many protons and electrons, what's the electron configuration, and then get all the information you need about helium. So notice that these two boxes here, I don't have anything for MLA citation. That's because you shouldn't need to do any research for these two. You should just be able to answer it yourself with your own knowledge. Anytime there's an MLA citation little thing here, it means you should be researching it and looking it up. Also on this page, you're not going to be writing any reasoning or analysis. You're just finding all of your information and pasting all the facts here just so you have like one place where you can find all your information. One thing that you should be aware of is for most of your research, you can just go to the library resources, just like with the radiation assignment. So click this first link and you can scroll down and you're allowed to use Gale, Today's Science. Sometimes Today's Science doesn't work, but you can try, or Encyclopedia Britannica. And that's going to be basically the same way we did it with the other assignment. For specifically paragraph 5, biological uses, one useful website could be this one here, the U.S. National Library of Medicine. This is a collection of all kinds of scientific articles written for medicine, about health, about biology. So these are pretty complicated because they're real experiments done by scientists throughout the country. So let's say I want to look something up about the biological uses of helium. So how is it used in medicines or drugs and proteins and cells, as fertilizer, anything bio-related. I can type in helium and see if anything shows up. So I would find an article that makes sense to you. It might not because they're really complicated, but try to find one that makes sense. So this one to me kind of makes sense, so I'm going to choose that one. And then once you look at a journal article, I would focus on the abstract section. Don't read the whole thing because honestly, it's not going to help and it's just going to be way too complicated. So the replacement of air with either helium or argon did not improve clinical outcomes. So even though that's not a positive piece of information, that's something that you could put into your evidence. So that's the US National Library of Medicine. To do the citation, just click citation here and copy the MLA citation. So Control C, Control V. If you want to have more than 2 uses or 2 facts, feel free. So the more the better. This is just the bare minimum. Let me undo that. So that's how you do the element research. The next part, which you will do after you find out all your information about the elements, is you go back and click on the essay organizer. This is the organizer to help you actually write the full QPA paper. I said it should be at least 4 pages double-spaced, but it's quite likely that it'll be longer than that. So maybe 4 to 6 is something that you should aim for. So paragraph 1 is your introduction. I would not start with that one until, actually I would not do it until after you have your body paragraphs finished, which are paragraphs 2 through 6. So for this part, let's say paragraph 4, this is stuff you had to do in your research. So for each element, you kind of have to combine all of the evidence into one paragraph now. So let's say my elements were helium, neon, and argon. The topic sentence would be answering the question. So I might say, neon is the most useful element for everyday life compared to helium and argon. And then for your evidence, you have to talk about the 2 uses for each element. And after each piece of evidence, you need to talk about how it shows whether it's useful or not. And I'm not going to really say more than that because you can look back in your other assignment to see how you did it. But you should be using each piece of evidence from your research organizer. And I labeled it for you. So paragraph 4, you should be using the information here for element 1. And then for element 2, you should be using the information here. Then for element 3, you'd be using the information here because it's labeled for paragraph 4. So something that's going to help you is if you have this outline put up, that way you don't have to click through and scroll down and try to find it every single time. You can just click, oh, I want the stuff about paragraph 4 and element 3. You would click here and it goes automatically. Okay, and so once you're done with all of this, it should be one single paragraph that you write here. And this paragraph is going to go into an MLA style essay. So in the end, it should be an MLA style essay. I will have another template ready, but in general, MLA is Times New Roman, double spaced, with all the regular MLA like stylistic stuff, like citations, page numbers, headers, etc. And I'll have a template if you aren't sure of how to do that, or you can just look it up. So once you're done with the body paragraphs and putting it all together, here's the introduction. I kind of ask you what you should think about. Just follow along. Same thing with conclusion. So in the end, you should have 7 total paragraphs ready to copy and paste into a regular essay format, just like a new Google Doc. If you have any questions, please let me know. All right, good luck.